Hello, this is Bart Tusher. I'm a pharmacist and currently practicing in Arizona. Hi, Haley, and hi, class. Um, Haley asked me to talk today to you guys just a little bit about a pharmacist's perspective, or I guess, or a health provider's perspective on opioid abuse or the potential for opioid abuse, um, especially in a practice setting. I've been a pharmacist here in the state, Arizona, since 2005. I've been in a community retail setting, so I guess you'd say I'm definitely on the kind of the front lines and seeing patients come in consistently month to month getting opioid medication, and I guess just kind of dealing with the issues with that. Obviously, opioid use has been kind of in the news quite a bit. Some of the things that have stuck out to me um, that are linked with overuse of opioids in our society. I think right now, some of the statistics that stuck out to me, currently the United States is about roughly 5% of the world's population. And we currently consume over, I believe it was 90 or 95% of the world's hydrocodone, which is a moderate to moderately strong opioid, and then roughly about 70% of the world's oxycodone. And then only being 5% of the world's population kind of just shows the trajectory that we've been on as a country, and maybe some of the prescribing practices haven't been really examined until now. And I see now that there's been this focus on it, that I've noticed there's been a decrease, the quantities that have gone out, the quantities that are prescribed, and I'll touch on that a little bit as we kind of get into this discussion. Some of the other statistics that I was looking up that kind of stuck out to me too. One in 2016 in the United States, prescribers wrote approximately 66 opioid prescriptions for every 100 Americans. And then about 5 out of 100 persons, roughly 5 out of every 100 persons misused prescription pain relievers. So it's definitely an issue. Another statistic was, I believe, opioid or drug overdose right now has finally overtaken car wrecks as the number one cause of accidental death in America, which actually has lowered the life expectancy, and is really kind of doing a damage in our society. So what do I usually, what are some of the things that I can do as a healthcare professional to limit opioid in society, and especially in the area that I'm in? I was just looking at statistics for my area. There was, in 2018, in Yavapai County, 47 overdoses for the county for that year. So, there's a number of contributing factors to that. You guys probably heard of fentanyl being in the news quite a bit. Fentanyl's very potent, very strong opioid, and that's linked to a lot of overdoses. And we're starting to see that in a lot of the counterfeit medications, as I think the prescription drugs have been kind of clamped down on. These counterfeit oxycodone medications that are laced with fentanyl have definitely kind of entered into the marketplace here and everywhere in the United States. And fentanyl is definitely a product that you want to stay away from if at all possible. So a very strong, very potent opioid, and something that you don't want to mess with. So what are some of the things that we do in my practice to limit or to combat against this epidemic? There's a few things that have kind of come to place recently in the last couple of years. Our state, and I think most states are starting to do that now, is what's called a prescription monitoring program, or PMP. And it's actually a state mandate that anytime a prescriber writes for a controlled medication, they're to go to the state database and look up the patient profile, and they can see all controlled medications that were prescribed to this patient. And I think they can search years back. So whenever we get a patient that's on a C2, which opioids fall in what's called a Schedule 2 DEA drug class, we will look up that patient's profile in our state's PMP, and we'll see what they're prescribed. When's the last time they picked this up? Are they seeing multiple doctors? Are they seeing multiple pharmacies? And then we can kind of verify off that website and our own records if they've been getting multiple medications from different doctors, different facilities. Doctors are looking at this, pharmacies should be looking at this, so that should really limit patients that are able to doctor shop or pharmacy shop, and we can look and see what they've been doing. Some of the other tools that have been put in place to kind of combat fraudulent prescriptions coming in. Our state just mandated that all controlled medications be sent in electronically now. That just happened the first of the year. So any paper prescription that's written out for opioid medications are no longer accepted in our state. And you'll see, I don't know the regulations for Hawaii, they may be on board with that too, but you'll start seeing that most states will be going to that. So you say you go to, if you break a hand or go to the dentist and get some tooth work or something, and he prescribes you an opioid, probably is going to have to be sent electronically, e-scribe. So what that did is it kind of combated counterfeit prescriptions. I've seen counterfeit prescriptions. They're actually done quite nice. It looks just, it's done on regular prescription paper that you'd see from a doctor's office. They have a header. They'll even have like a fake phone number that goes right to someone's cell phone that's handling any calls. They look just really professional, actually, in what they present, and sometimes can be kind of hard to detect. So I'm really actually kind of glad that our state here went to that, where they mandate it. And also, you'll in starting next year in 2021, any controlled prescription that is billed to Medicare D, which is what anybody 65 and over, if they're on a Medicare drug plan, would be a Medicare D plan, that prescription has to be received by e-prescribe. So it has to be electronically sent from the doctor to the pharmacy. So really, there's a lot of tools that are going to be, that are in place or that are going to be put in place that are going to kind of combat fraudulent scripts entering in. So, I think doctors have got the hint, drug companies have got the hint, pharmacies have got the hint. There's been multiple lawsuits all the major chains have had lawsuits. Many manufacturers have. You guys have probably maybe seen in the news about the makers of like OxyContin, Purdue Pharma. They've been, in lots of headlines lately about, fraudulent practices in getting doctors to prescribe more than they should have. So we're seeing a lot of kind of stuff in the news that there's a lot of clampdown, at least on the healthcare side, doing some other options instead of putting a patient right on an opioid. So that takes me into my next part, where I want to talk about, I guess, a little bit some other options to start a patient on other than an opioid, and some of the reasons why on that.